Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is on his 7th trip to the Middle East to push for a hostage swap ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas and oppose an Israeli offensive in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. His first stop is in Saudi Arabia, where Blinken spoke at the World Economic Forum.
The quickest way to bring this to an end is to get to a ceasefire and the release of hostages. Hamas has before it a proposal that is extraordinarily generous on the part of Israel. And in this moment, the only thing standing between the people of Gaza and a ceasefire is Hamas. They have to decide. And they have to decide quickly.
Hamas has said it will not release the remaining hostages without an agreement to end the war. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected that demand. Blinken's visit comes as Reuters reporting leaked internal State Department documents from 4 bureaus say they do not believe Israeli government is using U.S. weapons in accordance with international law, rejecting Israel's assurances it is, as neither credible nor reliable. The Biden administration faces a May 8th deadline to report to Congress on whether Israel is abiding by international law in its use of U.S. military aid, including by allowing the entry of humanitarian assistance. Israeli officials appear increasingly concerned the International Criminal Court may issue arrest warrants against the country's leaders. An ICC probe was launched 3 years ago into possible war crimes committed by Israel and Palestinian militants in the 2014 Israel-Hamas war. The probe is also looking at Israel's construction of settlements in occupied territory that Palestinians want for a future state. Their concerns over arrest warrants come as international pressure mounts over the current war in Gaza. Air strikes overnight killed 25 Palestinians in the southern city of Rafah, among the dead a family and a baby. The United Nations has suspended investigations into 5 UNRWA staff members that Israel accused of playing a role in the October 7th Hamas attacks. The UN investigating agency OIOS suspended the investigation due to lack of evidence. 14 UNRWA staff remain under investigation pending further evidence from Israel. UNRWA, the agency that provides aid to Palestinians, says its staff were tortured into giving false confessions. World Central Kitchen says it's resuming operations in Gaza after pulling out when Israel killed 7 of its humanitarian aid workers there. Meanwhile, a grassroots effort to ship more than 5,000 tons of food and humanitarian aid into Gaza called the Freedom Flotilla has been thwarted indefinitely. Pacifica's Vanessa Tate reports.
Under pressure from the U.S., Israel, and others, the Republic of Guinea-Bissau has withdrawn its flag from the flotilla's lead ship. Diplomats from the U.S., Israel, Germany, and Egypt arrived in Turkey to thwart the flotilla's departure. Huwada Araf, a Palestinian-American human rights lawyer, spoke at a press conference in Istanbul.
Sadly, the Republic of Guinea-Bissau has allowed itself to become complicit in Israel's deliberate starvation, illegal siege, and genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. Israel is showing the world the extent to which it will go to deny Palestinians the aid they need to stay alive.
The current Freedom Flotilla is the first since 2018. Previous flotillas have been bombed and their members killed and arrested in their effort to break the Israeli sea blockade of the coastal Gaza Strip. I'm Vanessa Tate.
Student activism against the war in Gaza continues to grow, as does state repression. A tally by the Associated Press reports police have arrested nearly 900 people since college encampments against the war propped up April 18th. Among those arrested over the weekend, Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein in St. Louis at the Washington University, campaigning to get on the Missouri ballot. She spoke to KSDK News.
The American public opposes the genocide, wants an immediate ceasefire and a diplomatic solution. So we want to get that on the ballot. We want a pro-worker campaign to be on the ballot. We want an anti-war campaign and a climate emergency campaign. We are the only campaign that actually represents all of those issues. So we have a lot to fight for to enable the American people to have a choice, and the American people are clamoring for a choice. They don't want these two zombie candidates rammed down their throat again.
She said she was charged with assaulting an officer, though did no such thing. In California, at UCLA, pro-war advocates clashed with anti-war protesters over the weekend during two competing rallies. A man wearing a Star of David shirt was caught on video spitting on an anti-war protester, then using the N-word against them. In another instance, people waving the Israeli flag threatened anti-war protesters with violence. 17 Republican-led states are suing to challenge new federal rules that give workers rights to take time off and other accommodations to obtain an abortion. Tennessee and Arkansas are leading the challenge against the guidelines issued over how to implement the 2022 Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. They argue the rules go beyond the bipartisan law. The rules are slated to go into effect June 18th. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.